Hello and welcome to Mindful Mondays. Today we're talking about praying when arguments happen. Praying maybe isn't the first thing that comes to our minds when we are getting in an argument, right? Especially if it's an emotional argument with someone close to you. Especially if it's the same old hurt that just keeps coming up again and again and not getting solved. Especially if it's an ideological argument and you really know that the other person is just not going to change their mind. Especially if you're offended at the things that the other person did or said. Especially if you're working hard to think of the very best points to pound your point home. Especially if what you really want from the other person is love and acceptance, and they are giving you everything except love and acceptance. Especially if the truth seems obvious to you, that any decent person would see the truth that way, and the other person seems to be just deliberately obtuse, or at least you hope they're being obtuse and not just plain old evil. There are a lot of especiallys when it comes to times and reasons that we might be less than likely to think first of prayer when we get into an argument with someone. Really though, in all those cases, prayer is the logical first thing, the first step, the first resort, not the last resort, not just one of the steps along the way. Psalm 141:3 says, "Take control of what I say, O Lord, and guard my lips." And I kind of like the poetry of the New King James Version, which says it like this: "Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips." In last week's installment of Wisdom Wednesdays, another series I have here, we looked at Proverb 10:19, which told us to be sensible and keep our mouths shut. This psalm is a nice partner to that proverb because sometimes under our own power, our mouths get out ahead of us and they cause all manner of trouble, right? Isn't it a great idea to ask the Lord to help out with that problem? A first instinct when thinking of praying during an argument might be to pray something like, "Lord, show them they are wrong." Really, when we do that, though, often what we're trying to do is get God to move people around like little puppets with no self-control and no mind of their own. Our prayers are an awfully lot like picking up a voodoo doll and stabbing pins in it and hoping the other person will get it. Instead, what about praying about things like, "Lord, please help me control what I say"? What about things like, "Help me listen to what's really being said behind the words in this argument"? What about things like, "Lord, I want to see your perspective on this, even if it disagrees with mine"? What about, "Help me love this person even as we disagree"? What about, "Help me to see your purpose for this conversation, Lord"? What about, there's a prayer that I think no one likes to pray, but I really find myself praying it, maybe most days. And the results of it are always good, even if they're not comfortable. And that prayer is, "Lord, what do I need to lay down right now and right here and just walk away from? What ideas, what notions, what beliefs, what resentments, what rights? What in me needs to die today so that I can be more free and more healthy and honor you more?" The longer I live, the more I see that life in Christ is learning every day that, staying in charge, being in control, preserving my right to look like I am right. These are all things that are really best left at the foot of the cross where they belong. Life works better. Faith works better. Relationships work better. Peace within me comes easier. So that's your unwelcome message to kick off your Monday morning right here. When the next argument arises, I invite you to pray aggressively that God will work in you, that God will show you, that God will change you. And trust that God will do what's needed in the other person without your little voodoo stick 'em in the guts God prayer. Just a little challenge for you. I will see you next time.